Good morning, everyone. So we're going to get to the yellow outline in just a minute. I want to share something with you that is actually very good. Several months ago, in May, we were running significantly behind our budget, which is not unusual for that to happen to a church. And I discussed it with Hugh White, our deacon, over finances. And Hugh talked to me about it. And so on a Sunday, we got up and we shared this with the congregation. And then over the course of the next few weeks, we said, what would happen if we all increased our giving 10% a week until Sunday, September the 25th, which was last Sunday? What would happen? Well, last year at this time, the 41st week into the year, 2015, we were $26,207 below our agreed to budget. As of today, we are $5,609 in the black. In the black. How amazing is that? Now, this thought had crossed my mind, although I never did get real serious about it. I was thinking of some ways that we can make confetti drop. Maybe we'll do that at the end of the year. Maybe we'll have the confetti drop. But I was thinking about it, but you know what? We don't want the people to have to clean that up. Although it would look good coming down. But your generosity is incredible. And thank you so very much for these sacrifices that you have been making and continue to make. You're a very, very generous people and congregation. So we're going to be on the yellow outline now. Many people who make the choice to become a Christian start off enthusiastically. Man, they are enthusiastic. But along the way, they encounter life. Have any of you encountered life yet? And usually one of three things happen. Number one, they give up their faith in God. Number two, they don't act on their faith in God. Or number three, they just become what the Bible calls lukewarm. Christianity is a long-distance race, and the important thing for us to remember is that it's not how you start, but how you choose to finish that determines your eternal destiny. So in 1 Corinthians 15:58 it says, always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. The Bible promises that your spiritual work and efforts in serving the Lord is not in vain. Keep going. Do not give up. So in Galatians 6 and verse 9, it says, don't get tired of doing what is good. Don't get discouraged and give up, for we will reap a harvest of blessing at the appropriate time. Notice the two phrases that are underlined, don't get tired and don't get discouraged. Do you know why Paul said that? Because doing good will wear you out. And it is a whole lot easier to be selfish than to be generous. But remember, you are going to be rewarded for your goodness if you do not give up your faith in God. Now, a great biblical example of a person not giving up is the Apostle Paul. This was a guy who understood the difficulties and the pressures of life, And he wrote about them in 2 Corinthians 4. You tell me if you identify with some of this in your daily life. He said, we are pressed on every side by troubles. You're with them so far, right? But we are not crushed and broken. We are perplexed, but we don't give up and quit. We are hunted down, but God never abandons us. We get knocked down, but we get up again and keep going. I was thinking of a way that I could kind of symbolize the Apostle Paul and his life in the Lord, and this is what I came up with. I think the Energizer Bunny, who has been a part of our lives since 1989, 1990, is a good representation of what it means to be a Christian. You have to keep going and going and going and going. You cannot give up. Now take a look at this text on your outline. Can you go backwards in PowerPoint? Oh, great. Okay. Take a look at 2 Corinthians 4. He says that I am pressed on every side. What that means is like I feel like I'm getting trouble from every direction in my life. Since it's football season, we'll use a football analogy. He says, I feel like I'm a quarterback who's being blitzed from every angle. Do you sometimes feel like that in life? Things are coming at you from different angles, pressed on every side. And then he says that he feels perplexed. Perplexed means I don't always understand what's going on in my life. Now, I don't know about you, but I find this extremely comforting because I always figured if anybody knew exactly what they were supposed to do all the time, it would have been an apostle, right? I mean, an apostle always knows what to do. Yet, he said there were times when he was perplexed. Are there times in your life when you don't understand exactly what's going on in your life? Yes, probably about 78% of the time, right? Yeah, a lot of life is spent. We just don't understand. He felt that way. He said that he was perplexed, but we don't give up and quit. And then he said that he felt persecuted. And you can read about him being persecuted in the book of Acts. It literally means to be hunted down. He feels like they've set the dogs and they're chasing him. He's being hunted down. And then look at this last one. Knocked down, but we get up. What a great metaphor for the Christian life. He says, I feel like I'm a boxer who's been knocked down in the ring, but I'm not going to stay down for the entire 10 count. I'm going to get up, and I'm going to keep going. And so you do get knocked down. All kinds of things going on in your life. But you can't stay down. You get up and keep going. So we're going to look at 7 secrets to a lasting faith. Now let me tell you why I use the word secret. I'm not using secret to mean something that is hidden and no one will ever find out about it. I'm using secret to mean that which you have to search for and discover and bring to the surface. That's how I'm using secret. So here's 7 secrets to a lasting faith. Number 1, if we're going to last, if we're going to make it to the end of life, with our faith intact, focus on what I have because of God's mercy. You and I need to continue to focus on what we have because of God's mercy. So this is what it says in 2 Corinthians 3:18. As the Spirit of the Lord works within us, we become more and more like Him and reflect His glory even more. Well, that's a good thing. And so, since God in His mercy has given us this wonderful ministry, watch this. We never give up. So you are not going to give up your faith for two reasons. The same two reasons that the Apostle Paul did not give up his faith. Number one, the Spirit is working in you at this very moment to make you more like Christ. And number two, God in His mercy has given you a ministry of transforming people's lives at work, at home, at school, in your social activities. You are making a difference in people's lives. So do not give up. God is allowing this to happen because of His mercy. That's number one. Number two, the second key to a lasting faith, if we're going to last, we're going to have to be genuine and authentic. We're going to have to be genuine and authentic if we're going to last. Because if we're going to try to fake something, we're probably going to get real tired and burn out because it takes a lot of effort to be faking stuff all the time. So I've designated this with a picture, a mask. If you wear a mask long enough, you begin to forget who you are beneath. So, you don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to wear a mask here. And let me explain what I mean by this. First of all, I am not suggesting that it is your obligation to reveal every personal, intimate detail of your life. I'm not saying it. It's kind of like, the woman who comes forward during the invitation and says, I'd like the church to pray for me. I just want this congregation to know the 3 reasons why I get mad at my husband during sex. Although that might make for the most exciting, attention-riveting testimony we have ever had in Port City history. That's not what I'm talking about when I say don't wear a mask. I am suggesting not wearing a mask means that we all come together with an attitude of humility, understanding that nobody in this room is better than anybody else. We are all in need of God's grace. That's not wearing a mask. Because what happens when we wear a mask is we begin to think that we are better than others. And we kind of have that separation between us. So be genuine and authentic. This is 2 Corinthians 4:2. We have turned away from secret and shameful ways. Be genuine and authentic. We use no trickery. We don't use any trickery here, I don't think. Stephen, we don't use any trickery here usually, do we? No, not too often. No, not too often. And we do not change the teaching of God. We're trying to give it to you pretty much straight from the Bible with a little interpretation added and a few dramatic moments. We teach the truth plainly, showing everyone who we are. Then they can know in their hearts what kind of people we are in God's sight. Paul is saying, I have nothing to hide. I am completely transparent. What you see is what you get. Now, one great thing about Christianity is you don't have to be perfect in order to be used by God. You just have to be authentic, genuine, and available. And He can use you. Now, you have to decide whether you want to impress people or influence people. You impress people from a distance. You can only influence people up close. And when they are up close to you, they're going to be able to see whether you are really authentic or not. So if we're going to last, we have to get rid of the mask that says, I may be a little bit better than someone else. Be authentic and genuine. We're here. We're all in need of God's grace. We're all a work in progress. And some need a little more progress than others. So the secret of a lasting faith is living authentically with a humble attitude. And then the third key to a lasting faith is be motivated by a servant's attitude, not a selfish attitude. If we're going to last, servant's attitude, not a selfish attitude. See, before we go to the scripture, I'm giving you time to fill in because it's 2 lines. This is 2 Corinthians 4, verse 5. It says, we don't go around preaching about ourselves. We preach Christ, Jesus, the Lord. All we say about ourselves is that we are your servants because of what Jesus has done for us. Your servants for Jesus' sake. Notice that in verse 5. Your servants for Jesus' sake. One reason Paul did not lose his faith and was able to handle stress was because he was motivated by a servant attitude, not a selfish attitude. He did what he did for Jesus' sake. That means he was doing it because of Jesus. So if you are going to last, and by last, I mean not give up your faith, you have to clarify your motivation for Christian living. Because if you don't, you are going to flame out before the finish line. You have to be doing what you're doing for Jesus' sake. You're doing it because of Jesus. Now remember what Paul went through. I mean, we're reading about him, and he says, I'm hanging in there, and I'm perplexed at times. I feel like I'm being pressed from different directions. Remember what the guy went through. This is what he said in 2 Corinthians 11, beginning in verse 23. I have worked harder, been put in jail more often, been whipped times without number, and faced death again and again. 5 times the Jews gave me 39 lashes. That would be 195 lashes. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. That's the book of Acts chapter 14. He was stoned and dragged outside of the city of Lystra. 3 times I was shipwrecked. One of the entire chapter on the shipwreck in Acts 27. Once I spent a whole night and day adrift at sea. I have traveled many weary miles. I have faced danger from flooded rivers and from robbers. I have faced danger from my own people, the Jews, as well as from the Gentiles. I have faced danger in the cities, in the deserts, and on the stormy seas. All I have faced, I have faced danger from men who claim to be Christians but are not. I have lived with weariness and pain and sleepless nights. Often I have been hungry and thirsty and have gone without food. Often I have shivered with cold without enough clothing to keep me warm. Then besides all this, I have the daily burden of how the churches are getting along. Wow! And if we were to ask Paul, how were you able to hold on to your faith in the midst of all of this? He would have said, I did it for Jesus' sake. I was doing it because of the Lord. Why are you able to hold on to your faith? Why are you not giving up your faith? It's the same answer. You are doing it for Jesus' sake. You're doing it because of Jesus. So if we're going to last, we have to be motivated by a servant's attitude, not a selfish attitude, and realize that life has never been easy for any Christian, not even those who were the closest associates of Jesus and those in the generation that followed. And then number 4, if we're going to last. If you're going to last and hold on to your faith, you have to accept your limitations. You have to accept your limitations. Now, I wrote something in my notes, and I was going to put it on the outline, but then I decided, don't put it on the outline. But I'm going to tell you what I wrote. I have accept your limitations, and then right next to it I wrote, and don't feel bad about it. And don't feel bad. Because a lot of times we can't do everything, we can't be everywhere, and we start to feel bad. But you can't. You can't be everywhere, you can't do everything. So this is 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 6. For God who said, let light shine out of darkness, made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ. Now watch this. But we have this treasure, that's God's light, in jars of clay, that's our bodies, to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. So I have a question. What in the world is he talking about when he says we have this treasure in jars of clay? What's he talking about? He's talking about our frail bodies. We are all like clay jars. We're all clay jars. Some clay jars are bigger. Some clay jars are smaller. Some clay jars are tall. Some clay jars are not tall. Some clay jars are beautiful and easy to look at. Some clay jars, that's not the case at all. So you and I, we have two things in common as clay jars. We have two things. All of us, whatever kind of clay jar you are. We have two things in common. Number one, we are easily broken. That's why I have a broken clay jar. And number two, we all have limitations. All of us. The quickest way for you to burn out is for you to try to become Superman or Wonder Woman, which I think used to be a show like 30 years ago. In order to maintain your faith, you are going to have to realize you are a frail clay jar and you have limitations. So I'm going to share 4 limitations that we have. Number one, you are not God. Well, I know you already know that, but this is just a reminder. You are not God. You cannot solve all of the problems in your own life, let alone solve all of the world's problems. Number two, you cannot be everywhere at once. The person who is trying to be available all of the time to all of the people will end up being available none of the time to no one. You can't. It's impossible. No reason to feel bad about it. We're clay jars. We have limitations. Number three, you cannot please everybody, so don't even try. Do the best you can. Amen. But I'm here to tell you, the sinless Son of God, our Messiah, Jesus Christ, couldn't do it. And he was perfect. He said all the right stuff, and he had all the right moves and all the right sayings. And there were people who hated him just for that very reason. So even if you and I could be perfect or near perfect, there would be a lot of people who hated you just for that very reason. Number four, as a clay jar, we have limitations. You can't fix everybody's problem. Our bodies are not immune to pressure. So you have to deal with your limitations in one of the best ways that you can, and I think it's by learning to pace yourself. You have to learn to pace yourself. Nobody can give 100% of the time. It's impossible. Now all of us are generally turtles or racehorses. We could be somewhere in between. And so if you're a turtle, you have to pace yourself as a turtle. If you're a racehorse, you have to pace yourself as a racehorse. Now, I'm sure when the racehorse is going slow, it's going faster than the turtle goes when it's going fast. But you know, if you're a racehorse, you can't worry about the turtle. If you're a turtle, you can't worry about the racehorse. You have to learn to pace yourself. And remember the old cliche that actually has some truth attached to it. Rome was not built in a day. You're not going to get everything done that you want to do in one day. So we're all limited. We're easily broken. We have limitations. Realize that and you will make it for the long haul. When you start to feel bad about yourself, I can't do all, I can't do that, then you get wore out, and it goes back to Galatians 6:9, where it says, don't become weary in doing good. You become weary in doing good, and you end up with compassion fatigue. You just don't care anymore. And then number 5 is, if we're going to have a lasting faith, we have to love people. Love other people. I put other people, I figured most of us were loving ourselves pretty well. Love other people. Or you could just put love people. This is 2 Corinthians 4:15. It says, all of this is for your benefit, so that the grace that is reaching more and more people may cause thanksgiving to overflow to the glory of God. Now, it's underlined, I think, in your outline. But anyway, if it's not, circle, all of this is for your benefit. Circle that. Paul says, the reason I keep going, and we just read what he went through, is because I know that what I'm doing is helping other people. And if you don't love people, your Christianity is not going to last. Now, let me tell you what I mean when I say love people. You know, Jesus said, love your enemies. You remember that? I thought for years he was saying, feel good about your enemies. And no matter how I whipped myself up mentally, I just couldn't get to the point of feeling good about them. But that's not what biblical love is. It doesn't mean to feel good about somebody. It doesn't mean you have to get along personality-wise with everybody. Did Jesus get along with everybody personality-wise, ye sons of hell? Matthew 23? No, he did not. Love means we have to be ready to actively will good toward them, no matter what they say, do, or become. Amen. Now I understand love your enemies. Not you don't have to like them, don't have to talk to them, you don't have to have a personality connection, but you have to be ready to will good toward them no matter what. If you stop loving in your marriage, your career, or as a parent, you're going to give up in those areas or feel miserable most of the time. When you stop loving, you stop trying, because love is the motivating factor of life. So if we're going to last, our faith is going to be intact on that last day that we're here, we have to be ready to constantly will good toward others no matter what. Love other people. And realize that much of what you are doing is going to benefit them if they are people who are close to you. And then number 6. If we're going to have a lasting faith, you're going to have to renew yourself every day. You have to renew yourself every day. You have to do something to renew yourself. I'm talking about, your inside. So I was thinking of, how do you represent renewing yourself every day? And this is what I came up with. You have to service your Christianity, just like a car is serviced. A car requires maintenance, right? Does your Christianity require some level of maintenance? Right. So I was reading this article about regular, ordinary people who have driven their cars many miles. Now, these were not skilled mechanics who rebuild engines on the weekend just for fun. These were regular people who bought a car off the lot, and they were driving it. This guy, Honda Accord. He's at 855,000 miles on his Honda Accord. Another guy, Toyota something, he's just under 1 million miles on his car. But you know what they said in these cases? Because people ask, well, how do you do it? How do you drive a car that long? They said the key was to service the car on a regular basis. You change the oil whenever the oil needs to be changed. You change the other fluids. You rotate the tires. These were people who serviced their cars. And I was thinking, that is exactly what we have to do with our spirit or our inner person. We have to be on some kind of a service schedule or a maintenance schedule. We have to maintain our Christianity because it isn't going to maintain itself. The tires aren't going to rotate themselves. So this is 2 Corinthians 4:16. Therefore we do not lose heart. He's saying we don't give up our faith. Even though outwardly, sadly, tearfully, we are wasting away. Yet, watch this. You ready for the renewal? Ready for the renewal? Here it comes. Yet, inwardly, we are being renewed every day. Well, there's not anything we can do very much about the outside. It's wasting away. You can apply oil of Olay. Oil of Olay. Or whatever the other lotion is. Other lotions. We can do a little bit of, you can have some surgery. But you've seen some of those people in Hollywood who've had a lot of surgery. They look weird just from the surgery. So I would say go light on the surgery, all right? But the bottom line is it's just on the outside, it's just wasting away. Not much we can do about it. Which brings us to my next subject. You know you're getting old when? Okay. You know you're getting old when you and your teeth don't sleep together. You know you're getting old when your back goes out, but you stay home. That's a sign you're getting old. You're wasting away. You know you're getting old when it takes 2 tries to get up from the couch. You know how that is? 2 tries. You know you are getting old when your idea of weightlifting is standing up. You know you are getting old when your address book has names that mostly start with doctor. You know you're getting old when the twinkle in your eye is merely a reflection from the sun on your bifocal. It's a twinkle in your eye. You know you're getting old when your memory is shorter and your complaining is longer. You know you're getting old when you looked for your glasses for 20 minutes and they were on your head the entire time. Of course, that could happen when you're 30. That could happen when you're 30. Now this next one really hits home. You know you're getting old when you've given up all of your bad habits and you still don't feel good. You still don't feel good. You've given up the bad habits. Why do I still feel so bad? You know you're wasting away when you think you have more patience, but it's actually that you just don't care anymore. Finally, you know you're getting old when you wonder how you could be over the hill when you don't remember climbing it. Ethel, do you remember us going up the hill? I don't remember going up the hill. So yes, on the outside, he says, outwardly we are wasting away, but I love the next word, yet, because he's going to contrast that. Yet, inwardly we are being renewed day by day. So I need an image of being renewed day by day. Have you ever watched on a documentary a plane being refueled? It's possible some of you have maybe even been a part of a plane refueling, mid-air refueling. And it looks relatively easy, but it reminds me of the Olympics a few weeks ago. I was watching the gymnastics on the balance beam. The balance beam. The balance beam is 4 inches wide. 4 inches wide. and these girls are doing flips in the air and landing on a 4-inch wide beam. Now, the reason they can do it is because they have practiced so much that they have made the complicated look easy. And it looks easy. Except if you were to try it, if I was to try it, I'd be in some kind of a neck brace. It's the same way. It just looks easy. These people are just so professional in the plane, in the big plane, and in the small plane, and they just look simple, but it's not. Here's why I have this picture. To renew yourself in the inner person, you have to find some ways to do it in flight. Because you don't stop being a mother, do you? No, you're always a mother. Most of you don't have an opportunity every month to take a week off to the Bahamas. Just fly every month. We're going to take a week. Go down, and I'm going to recuperate in the Bahamas. No. You have to learn to renew yourself in flight. That is, while you're working, while you are raising a family, so you have to find something that you can do, like exercise. That can be a release. Right? So you can spend like 45 minutes maybe on the treadmill or go to one of the exercise places, or you could just ride a bike. You may have a particular hobby, but you have to learn to renew yourself every day in some way. And then your faith will last. And then finally, we're going to have a lasting faith. We're going to have to look at everything with an eternal perspective. I know that we deal with things on a day-by-day basis. There's no getting around that. Days are tough. But everything that happens daily needs to be, at least mentally in the back of your mind, understood in the context of eternity. Paul's secret in keeping his faith to the end was realizing that there is more to life than the here and now. When you lose your eternal perspective, you're going to get physically tired. Now, I understand that you may feel like quitting your job every Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning. But you have to learn to put it into an eternal perspective. So I love the way he ends 2 Corinthians 4. This is just so great. For our present troubles are quite small. I love that. Whippings and beatings and stonings. Oh, they're all small. The whippings and beatings and stonings are all so small. We just read about them, right? For our present troubles are quite small and won't last very long. Yet, they produce for us an immeasurably great glory that will last forever. So we don't look at the troubles we can see right now. Rather, we look forward to what we have not yet seen. For the troubles we see will soon be over. 80, 90, 100 years. But the joys to come will last forever. You know what this says? The greatest motivation for you, for your Christian faith, for my faith, it's not internal, it's not external, it's eternal. That's the greatest motivation to keep going. It's looking past the problems to the reward. It says in Hebrews chapter 12 that the reason Jesus was able to endure the cross, I'm talking about Jesus, the man, if we can separate the man from God, but the man, Jesus, who was crucified, it says, who for the joy set before him endured the cross. So, how did he make it? He made it by looking forward to that which is going to come. So, no matter what happens, you are not going to give up your faith in God. No way. No, you are not. And remember, that no matter how bad the problem is, how tough the problem is, the reward in heaven is greater than whatever it is you are facing right now. So do not give up. Keep going. We've been saying that every week for I don't know how many Sundays. At least like 15 Sundays probably. You get tired of hearing that? Don't give up. No, you don't. I don't get tired of saying it, so I hope you're not getting tired of hearing it, because I'm going to continue to say it. Don't give up. And you're not giving up. And you are making a difference in people's lives eternally, even when you can't see it visibly or put it in a test tube and measure it. There are still great things that are happening because of your influence. Do not give up. So Stephen is going to come up and lead us in an invitation hymn. If you have a particular need, if we can assist you in putting Christ on in baptism, we would love to do that. If it's the prayers of the brothers and sisters that you need, we can pray on your behalf. We can intercede on your behalf. Let us know what your need is while we stand and sing.